I have one question before we start this review for Simon Kinberg, the writer, director, producer of this movie.
쇼키라서.
I'm not joking when I say that this movie is one of the most cliche movies I've seen all year. Maybe even one of the most cliche movies I've ever seen. From the first scene of the movie, it is just trope after trope after trope until the end, and it is infested in every aspect of the movie. Every single aspect of this movie is cliche in one way or another, and that's not even the worst part. The worst part of this movie isn't that it's amazingly cliche, it's that this movie is trying so hard. This movie just can't do anything right, and I feel so bad for the actors here. I feel so bad for Michael Fassbender, for James McAvoy, Sophie Turner. Everyone involved seems like they are trying so hard to make this material work, but this is some of the worst material that I think these guys have ever been handed. There is some of the worst dialogue of and the plot basically goes nowhere. There's no progression to the story of any kind because there isn't any stakes at all. None of the characters feel like they belong in this movie because they don't do anything and they have no sway on anything. Jean Grey gets the Phoenix in her because of some of the biggest coincidences of all time, and then she goes on Earth and is the chick that no one should mess with anymore. She's different and it feels good and she's gonna harness this newfound power, but everyone's been lying to her, which is just another, check mark in the cliche box. And to undercut this story of Jean Grey becoming this all-powerful thing is this horrible melodrama where the school of kids decides they want to turn against James McAvoy's Professor X character for virtually no reason. For all of these X-Men movies, Professor X has always been this guy, this beacon of knowledge and justice. He's just been this person that knows everything, who does everything right, who wants to do right by everyone, and then suddenly in this movie everyone hates him for absolutely no reason. And then that plot just goes absolutely nowhere. Everyone hates him until they just don't, for no reason, just like them hating him. There's no reason for the subplot, there's no reason why it should be in this movie, and it completely undercuts the main story, of which there is very little.
What they don't understand, what they fear, and what they fear, we seek to destroy.
This is your fault, Charles. I tried to protect her.
But the main story is so bogged down with all of these characters, it's just cramming into this movie. There are so many characters in this movie that you have to keep track of, and all of them are less interesting than the last. Not to mention a secret organization that's pulling strings from behind the scenes. Another check mark in the cliche box, who are trying to get Jean Grey because they're aliens from a different planet that want to harness her power to do something, which is really never made clear. You don't know what they want, you don't know what their motives are, you don't know who they are, you don't know what they are. Nothing is ever explained in this movie, things just happen until it ends. And again, the characters are so bland in this. Even in some of the worst X-Men movies, like X-Men Apocalypse, there are character moments. Like when Michael Fassbender's family gets killed, and then he takes his vengeance out on the cops. It's a character moment that actually works and makes you invested in that character. And when he turns to be evil, it's understandable because of what he's gone through. But in this movie, you get a bunch of nothing. You get a bunch of dirt in your face because none of the characters are interesting anymore. James McAvoy is phoning in his performance. Jennifer Lawrence is phoning in her performance because they go nowhere. There's no character arcs. There's nothing interesting that they do. It's just plot conveniences. The movie just has characters to have plot conveniences. None of them have personalities, none of them are interesting, and all of them are just at the service of the plot. It's just the most uninteresting way to write a movie possible. It's not a movie that is pushed forward by things that happen that have reacting consequences. It's not a movie like that where things progressively move and build on top of themselves until the end and in a satisfying way. No, it's just thing 1 happens, and then thing 2 happens, and then thing 3 happens, and so on until it's over. It's just mind-numbingly boring. So I just give it a 2. 2 out of 10. This movie's trash. I just don't know. What's happening to blockbusters, man? They just get worse and worse every year.